Yes, here we go. It is the T.N.F, the night we hand over the keys to use the viewers. You can get your points in for what will be another action-packed bus, I am sure, full of good debate and all that patter. We'll do all that good stuff and we'll get stuck into it. All that good stuff means do right now, if you are in the live chat, give us a wee like. Do hit the share button if you can and share it on your socials. If you want to, what's the other things you can do? Become a Bhoycie Bus member. It's $1.99 a month. It helps with the subscription fees. It helps keep, everyone happy in the team and all that shit. It keeps the wheels on the road, as they say. Don't forget with Pie Sports. I don't know where the Pie Sports logo is. Why are we in the quiz room? What's going on here, mate?
I know. I was wondering myself there.
There we go. Alex, mate.
That'll do. That's better. Aye. I thought Phil was going to join us there for a minute.
Piesports.com. Remember, it's Bus 1888 at the checkout code. At the checkout, use that code, and you get 12.5% tasty discount. I think that's them all. Subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff. Slag the hair, all the usual. Anyway, very good evening. Bhoycie Bus members like Gary Brown, Sam Van Celtic, and Flexi. 3 out of the first 4 commenters, all Bhoycie Bus members, and of course the legend that is Alex Forsyth, who we met, of course, in that fateful night in Motherwell. Mark, less said, the better.
Yes. Words were said, fires were lit.
I left that venue that night, a newly crowned blonde lesbian, mate, and he'll tell everyone and anyone he possibly can.
Well, a blonde lesbian, there's worse things than that, mate, to be honest. I wish I could get one. Or two.
I know, blonde lesbians must be in. I'm telling you, this blonde lesbian does okay, Del. You cheeky wee bastard. Right, anyway, let's go on with it. Right, look at Danny O'Malley coming straight in. Member for 14 months. Can't watch live, but have a good show, legends. This was sort of put in it, Judge. This was sort of put. Right, okay. We will crack on. Get your talking points in the live chat as fast as you can, because we do want to be able just to keep the show flowing. There'll be plenty, I'm sure, that you guys are wanting to discuss. But there was one I wanted to discuss with the Judge, because we were having a chat on Monday night, me and Jonathan. You were popping up in the live chat with a different view. All for that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think, Mark, you've probably had an alternative view more than once in your life to certain situations. So this one's pretty understandable, this one. It's I maybe described it in a way that I wouldn't say annoyed you, but you went, well, wait the fucking no, that's not quite what it is either. But obviously my narrative, and I'm playing on a wee bit, not to back down, but I'm, the domestic bliss quilt and cozy blanket and stuff is maybe just to try and belittle the domestic bliss that wee bit further forward, a wee bit further, and exaggerate it a bit. We all do that with stuff. But the European aspirations point, for me, I can't swither on it. I can't change on it. I tweeted the other night. This is a brilliant example, which was not even related to the show. It's just been like, tonight I've thought about that. And it's fucking, maybe my favourite ever Celtic game is a European game. And it's Blackburn Rovers. And that highlight, that was only the third round of the UEFA Cup? Third round, I think it was. And I look back at that and I go, if that gave me that much satisfaction, what I was saying on Monday, at least I'm being like kind of accurate in my own mind as to what European football means to me. Your attitude is more, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so you'll have plenty of opportunity on the microphone, Mark. But from where I was standing anywhere or sitting, it looked as though you were more laissez-faire to Europe now. It's a wee bit of a, look, we can't compete at that level. We're not going to make the effort to compete at that level. And the inevitable will occur at the end of any given group stage campaign, particularly the Champions League. You don't get as frustrated as I do. Certainly in Europe, I do get extremely wound up. I think the 6-0 capitulation in Atletico Madrid really, really frustrated me when you looked at the options available to Brendan and you start looking at everything as a whole. But anyway, take it away what your views are between the domestic glory that Celtic has regularly and, well, over the last 20 years, the European misery that we've went through.
No, one thing I've got to agree with you is the big results we get in Europe, it does give you a high. I mean, God, I was there when we beat Barcelona, and that's a night I'll never forget. My old man was there, and it was just a good night, you know what I mean? And I've been to plenty of other ones that we've really enjoyed, but I just, I've told the story before. I think it was a PSG game. We get beat 5-0, was it? And I came out of that game. I was with my brother and just some random guy. I just said, look, that team won't even get past the last 16. That's what I said out loud. And they destroyed us. And my brother and the other guy he's like, oh, that Cavani or the rest of it. I says, I'm telling you, I says, that's a team full of stars. That isn't a good football collective. And I had a wee conversation on the bus and home, and I went, do you know what? That's me done with it. I just thought, I'm not getting myself up for this anymore. And it was only the previous season, Man City for each, which I really enjoyed. That I went home that night, shattered, more shattered than players. My body was just put through so much turmoil that day, do you know what I mean? And I think when you go to the big matches or you watch the big matches, you kick every ball, and see when the full time comes, you're exhausted. So I get you, and I would never belittle anybody's kind of views on how important that is to them, because to them that's important. My idea when it comes to domestic football is, I just think it's more important that, for instance, the Seville season, I'll never forget that. I think for a season we won nothing. We lost everything on the last day. We lost 3 finals and a European trophy in extra time. You know what I mean? And a league title and goal difference. We couldn't have get any closer yet. It was still satisfactory in its own way. But see, that season aside, I've never really recently enjoyed European football as much since that PSG game, and I would rather us win the league than any domestic success. And European success for me would be winning something. I think if you go to a quarter final or a semi final, I still want to swap that. In fact, I wouldn't even swap a final anymore now for domestic success, unless it was a big one. I'll tell you why. I just think that we still glorify Seville, because I think, unlike Rangers' 2 runs to the finals, unlike them, we had a fucking outstanding team, and we just came up against probably one of the few teams in European football that could have beat us that season. I genuinely think that we could have played almost any team that season and been a match for anybody. We played the best manager in the world at the time, and a team that signed one more player and won the European Cup, right? So we were allowed to be giddy about that, you know what I mean? But now I would still rather win the league, especially now with the finances involved now. I think unlike us, we saw how Rangers can, I hate mentioning that mob, but we saw how Rangers can more or less compete to a certain extent against Celtic with no money. So you give them a £60 million transfer Champions League pot, they'll spend, and I'll give you a bit of figures here that I saw online earlier on.
I like this.
So somebody, a brilliant thread I seen on Twitter, it was actually really good. So Dermot Desmond popped up, and what I couldn't believe was he's not put any money into Celtic since 2005, and I'll tell you what it was. He bought 26,500,000 shares at 30 pence, Boycie, right? That was under £8 million it cost him. These shares now are worth £112 pence, roughly £30 million. So he's made £22 million without spending one curdie. Not one single pence, right? That's David Murray stuff. A guy said in court, if you bought a pie at Ibrox Stadium, you spent more money than David Murray at Rangers, because all his money came from Murray and his investors, right?
Is that a quote from the court?
Yeah, so see
very
quickly. Yeah.
God,
so
there was a few nuggets that were brilliant. I don't remember that one.
If you bought a pie at Ibrox, you spent more money than David Murray. All his money that went into Rangers came from the Murray Group.
Can
so
you
it came
remember
from the Murray Group's profits,
right,
and then put against loans against his companies. So he didn't, and all his statements were full of Murray Holdings and all the rest. So he's free advertising for 25 years, right? So get back to my one. So he's making about £22 million profit, right? So this is where it gets a bit tasty, right? So Celtic are approved to offer 237 million shares. So that means you can buy shares, right? See, up until the new, they've only sold 94.5 million shares, which means basically they don't want me and you or anybody else getting involved. But it gets even more tasty. So there's something called preferred bidders or preferred investors, people who they want to be part of their investment core and all this. There was 14 million roughly allowed or approved, and they used almost 13 million of them. So the see difference is they had a preferred bunch of shares.
Prospective
So they get
purchasers.
shares to folk they can sell to a preferred bidder, i.e. I want you to come into my company, and they sold roughly 90% of them or 85% of these shares. But of the 237 million shares that the club announced at the AGM that they're approved to sell, they've only sold 94 million. So it's a closed, Celtic is a closed book. They don't want anybody coming in. Dermot Desmond will never sell his shares. It's just a toy for him. And it goes back to my point about Celtic, and we're never going to get anywhere in Europe until we get a modern club, a modern board and a modern way of thinking. And do you know something? Until Celtic start losing league titles, we will never try and compete. You know what I mean? It would take us to get knocked out of the Champions League every season and Rangers to compete in the Champions League and get the big money for us to spend the money. That's a bad case scenario for Celtic. Can you imagine us getting £60 million this season? Add that on top of the £70 million we've got just now, and then sell your one player. We could be sitting in next summer realistically with 150 million in the bank. 150 million in the bank, spare cash, realistically, and we're still going to spend £3 million a player and have folk having their hair on fire at the fault us 35 grand a week. And I'm realistic with that. And for me, that points to at the end of the season, I can still say to myself, we've beat Rangers, we've won the league, because really that's what matters, Boycie. Because I'd rather lose against Man U than lose against Rangers. And that's just my thinking.
Some interesting takeaways from that. I've got a couple of wee ones that I'll come back to you on, right? First one, when you said about winning a European competition, right? I mean, I've got to admit, despite me having massive European aspirations still for Celtic, probably because I'm conditioned like a lot of people are that are going through the generations now, as a younger sort of breed of Celtic supporter. I was 15 when we made it to Seville. I think you're very sort of, that's where your opinions really formed. Like in your early teens, your balls drop. You've shaved about 3 hairs off your upper lip, and you're becoming a man. And at that time, as I was growing up, Celtic, as you rightfully pointed out, were a match for any fucker that came up to us in Europe. That is just a fact. I don't care what anyone says. You're spot on to go as far as that, Mark. No one, and I mean no one, wanted to come to Celtic Park under O'Neill's team. No one in Europe. That is universal. That goes for... I remember we drew with Bayern. I think this was maybe... Said that like Alan McAnally. Bayern in München in Germany. But I remember we drew, I'm sure, at home with them. I think it was O'Neill's 4th season.
They were celebrating that, weren't they?
And we were fucking raging, mate. Like, do you remember? Like, you felt like... And then we should have got a point off them away, and we sold the jerseys away for them against... I mean, against Bayern now, you'd be happy with a 4-goal defeat or deficit. You'd go, well, we could have got a Tonkin. It's not that bad. It's only 4. And if you are a 15-year-old Boycie and you're watching Atletico Madrid tear strips off us like they did the other week, I can understand why you are just in a space where Europe doesn't matter. Your situation's slightly different because it's like you've had a taste of it, albeit it was a runners-up in a final. Yep, we didn't win it in Seville. But you've kind of went from that high to now saying, unless we won a full European competition, you would still choose domestic success. Now, what I wanted to push you on was, is that only a league win you would say over a runners-up in a Europa League? I take it the Scottish Cup and the League Cup you would still swap for another European final, or are you that far? Are you that far into the abyss with it?
It's especially the Scottish Cup. I just feel like the last day of the season, May in the sun, I think that's Celtic's day. I've always just felt that the Scottish Cup, the final isn't complete unless you see Celtic in the final. And I love the Scottish Cup, boys. It's the only cup that I really, really want to win. The league title's different. Out of the 2 cups, I would sacrifice the League Cup if any, but I like the League Cup as well. I don't think about, when I'm watching a match, I don't think, this is only a League Cup. I think about I just think about winning that match. And then after you're sobered up. But if you offered me a treble or the league and then get into a final, that's probably a question that I would pose. But see, I still don't like losing, boys. I don't like us.
Let's get your thoughts on that. A treble or runners-up in Europe? I'm pushing you for that answer.
No, I wouldn't swap that, mate, because we're 20 years down the line and we're still seeing folks celebrating Seville, and I'm getting fed up celebrating. I would rather just put Seville into the corner and just say, it happened, it was superb, but just shut up about it. I don't want to hear any more. We had a party in Seville. Listen, then we get fucked, then we get home and we're greeting a week later. Just leave it to the side. It was a great memory for folk that went there and all watched it, but we still get beat, mate. We laugh at Rangers for celebrating failure, and we're probably the just as bad as them. You know what I mean? But I would rather win. I would rather win things. I said it was on the live chat, so it's hard to get the comments across. But
I totally get that.
I still firmly believe that. I still firmly believe that we're as big a club just now as we were before and after winning the European Cup. That was the greatest moment of the club's history. That was the moment that the club, without a doubt, that was the key moment to Celtic and Celtic's Roll of Honour, you know what I mean? But I don't think we grew or shrunk because of that, you know what I mean? Our roots were for day one and we just grew for there, you know what I mean? And that grew for league titles and league cups and Scottish cups, and because success attracts punters, mate, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that Europe will ever not be relevant to the fans. It's just my view of it, you know what I mean? But I have seen folk, by the way, mate, I'm not just saying this, even talking to them and on Twitter saying, I've just became apathetic to this shit. They're switching off at half time, they're not going to games, they're going out with their misses, they're giving away their tickets. And I'm going,
I've seen plenty of it too.
You're right. I thought I was a few. I thought I was of the very, very few. And we do something, the board love that, because see, people like me, I'll not put pressure on the board for European success. I'll put pressure on the board I want a £10 million player. I'll be selfish here. I want a £10 million player because I want Celtic to be so much good that nobody can compete with in Scotland. That's my key thinking. You know, you could say shoot for the stars and you might land on the moon. So get a Champions League player, you win the league automatically, basically with that. But for me, I think we should just concentrate on making sure that nobody in Scotland can touch us, including Rangers. And if anything else comes on top of that, it's a bonus for the ones who want to spend an absolute fortune, in my opinion, travelling to watch them. And they deserve better than 6-0 against Atletico Madrid. Even with 10 men, Celtic fans deserve better. And a lot of goals we've lost. The first two games, I think we could have got at least 4 points. We should have got a win it against Atletico as well. See with that 10% better player, we may have got a result in the games. And this is what we're talking about. Don't tell me we can't afford better than Greg Taylor or an upgrade.
Exactly.
Don't tell me we can't afford, I'm sorry to say this, we can't afford an upgrade on a Carl McGregor either. Because I tell you something, we might not be able to attract a £30 million player that's in Real Madrid's B team or his first team squad, but there's better than Carl McGregor out there. There's better than there's better than Kyogo. You can't just sit back and go like that. Or we've got fans' favourites here. They've all got flags and scarves with their names on it. So there's no point in us buying any more players. Because eventually age catches up with them. They get sold. And who's next in the line? Your David Turnbulls. Your Mikey Johnstons. Your 104-year-old James Forrest. You know, this is what I'm talking about, mate. And I just...
Mark, is there now a decent... See what you've said there so far, right? I'll be completely honest. If I didn't know your opinion was that you've got a bit of apathy to Europe, I would say you sound exactly like I do. Just snip out the Europe bit that you've said so far. And when I hear you talking about the upgrades of players, why you want £10 million players, you're saying it's because you want to be untouchable in Scotland. But naturally, if you became so untouchable domestically, I think you have got more of that puncher's chance that you're referring to in Europe as well. These are undeniably, they go hand in hand. And you're absolutely right when you say, and I don't mean you are part of the problem in a nasty way, and as you rightfully point out as well, you're far from alone in the European views that you've got. Well, I noticed that in the live chat massively. David Kelly, for example, in there already saying, getting wound up about it's pointless. It doesn't get you anywhere. It's not going to change. But the thing is, with that take, if you're not ramping the pressure and you're not vocal about things that you don't like, about the club. How is it ever going to change? Because deep down, I would imagine apathy is the lowest level of emotion you'd ever want to go to as a Celtic fan, talking about Celtic. I think that's worse for me. Like someone like you, it should be painful. It should be hurting you. I think if you're being completely honest with yourself, I think you would rather be feeling that than apathy to Celtic in Europe.
I
That
feel guilty,
kills me.
mate. I do feel guilty, Boycie. Like I remember, like I've come home a few times to work, and I've said to Alana, I've said to you in the chat, like it's been like 7:15, and I've not even checked the team sheet yet. See if I was against Hamilton Accies, I'd be checking Twitter all day to see updates of the team, who's injured, and just I do feel guilty because I feel guilty that I've switched a Celtic game after 10 minutes now that in Europe and not even thought about it. Because see everything that anybody that knows me that like nobody, everybody else loves Celtic. Of course we do, that's why we spend our time talking about it. But I love Celtic, right? I mean, anybody that knows me will tell you that.
Oh, you do.
But see anybody that thinks that I feel bad about it, but see, because it's like, see a friendly match, we've done pods on it, Boycie, we've sat and done live streams on friendly matches like nobody else does. So even friendly matches, I'm tuned right into the fucking new formations, new signings, and all the rest of it. And it's just, I feel like I'll describe it. It's like when Scotland's playing, you just go, "Oh, I wonder what the score is." Whereas the only thing I do is I actually watch it, and I'm like, and sometimes I just sit on my phone while it's on. It is so weird. It's like watching an old video. I spend a lot of Friday nights, and I'll put on like Celtic archives, and I'll watch the full 90 minutes for a game, 1992 or something. Just it's a sort of thing I like to do, right? And I'll just watch it, and I don't get emotional with it because I can't. I'm not going, when I miss a shot. That's what it's like, and it sounds stupid, but I'm doing something. The board's got me in a barrel because they know. Like, see people like me. I want the board. The only way that we're going to change is when the board die. I'm sorry to say that. When they all die, we'll get better, right? I don't mean I want them to die.
Oh fuck!
Did I have Range Rovers in posh estates? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. No, but
to those watching live on Facebook, because we did go live on Facebook tonight for a wee change, just to spread the word a wee bit. We don't normally talk about deaths on the Celtic board as a common theme on the.
We do sometimes talk about the reborn into living like Rangers. So that was a we don't talk about death that often. But listen, that is what I've just spoke about with the figures there. If I did tell you nepotism and one hand washing the others in Celtic Park, then nothing else will, boys. So we've got a board that's no changed in 17 years, and then you've got Celtic best policies tell you change your board every 5 years. We've had one for fucking 17. We've had CEOs, musical chairs, you call it, same guys in charge for 20 years, and you go, that's no best practice because they don't want changes within the club. Don Mackay came in. He wanted to change the colour of the kettle in the staff room, and they sacked him. That's as simple as that. You can't change things.
I agree. So this is the bit that gets me the most, and I totally agree with your point that they've got you over a barrel, mate. But it fucks me off because I know the type of person you are. You're someone who always is a stand your ground type of person, Mark. You give those strong views, and yet the board have it's like death by 1,000 cuts. They've just cut you into that bit where you're like, do you know what? Just put me out my misery. Just give the European season ticket to someone else, mate. I'm done. And I almost genuinely think they go, perfect, because whoever takes that ticket hopefully will be of a generation of 18 to 25. And they don't know what any European big wins look like anymore. They're now coming through going, we just get beat. So
I think I was seeing the other day that Matt O'Reilly was in primary school when Celtic beat Barcelona. And then you go, look at players in their 30 that weren't even born when we went to Seville. Just shows you how far we're going back to any tangible, not success, but tangible results in Europe.
And not tell you though, because see when it's then us, Matt, that are like and many people in the live chat as well, I've got to say, but it's not when it should be us that are trying to carry that torch from those years. And that's, I think, where where me and you, that's where the two opinions probably clash a bit, if you like.
Uh-huh.
And I don't mean clash in a fucking bad way before anyone gets the popcorn. I don't mean it like that. I mean, even though we put Boycie versus the Judge in the title, you got to get them in somehow. You got to get them in watchers somehow. But I mean, surely there's got to be these memories getting brought to the forefront to remind that board. By the way, see, whilst a lot of the fans, they don't know what European success looks like or anything.
Aye.
A lot of you fuckers on the board who you knew exactly how Celtic were achieving that. Yous were there. Some of them. Right? And since they've came in, it's almost like they want it to, the quicker the generations it passes through and the more conditioning that goes on with supporters not knowing what anything in Europe relating to big nights, shock wins, or runs in Europe. Fuck, that sounds a million miles away. Knockout, even one knockout win, it's 20 years since. That tells you if you're entering 4 competitions a year, 3 are going to be domestic, you're automatically in. The other one is going to be European one based on how the previous season went or how the previous few seasons may have went if it's a coefficient thing, etc. But if you continually fail in that 4th competition, why is there not some sort of KPI on that, that gets reflected upon and going, okay, well, what we've worked out from this is we've went round the houses with the managers. They all fall short in the same way. That tells you whatever formula it is that they are using, that's where the problem lies. And I think over 20 years, Mark, is such a sizable period of time to go, okay, this isn't pie in the sky. This isn't instant reaction stuff that's OTT. This is a chunkable amount now. In fact, a massive part. You're actually looking at something like, what, an 1/8 of Celtic's history? It's been the last 20 years, something like that. Okay, we'll not be far off that. Do you know what I mean? Someone could correct me with the fractions. But you go, that's wild that we've failed in the fourth tournament that we're in. The 3 domestic ones that are given, and whatever 4th tournament, for 20 years we're toiling. Your Moore comes in, he says, no, they didn't, Boycie. Strachan has done, and Lennon has done reasonable in both his term as manager. They just won a knockout tie, though. Your Moore. This is, again, I think this, I know, I love reading that out, your Moore. A great comment on the live chat, as always.
Aye.
But when you actually think about it, mate, what you're saying they've done reasonable is last 16 of the Champions League and they never won.
I see that team, Boycie.
See
2 teams there. They're no as you class quality Celtic teams. You're talking Steve McManus there and Gary Caldwell's, and so the board didn't bank on that. That was just 2 managers that just got the very best out of a group of players. That was success in spite of the boards. So we've got a manager, right? So the situation is just now, instead of the board questioning the managers now as to why European success isn't coming, the board's now telling the manager they're there, and the manager's telling the board, no, we need to do more. So the board's putting no pressure on the manager to succeed in Europe. It's now the manager telling the board we need more. It should be all way about. The board should be constantly saying every season, why are we not doing anything in Europe? What do you need? What are we lacking? And instead of we've got a board that's saying, do you know what? There's guys like Mark, he's not interested in Europe. We'll take their money, we'll sell it anyway, we'll get pumped, we'll get a few days out in Spain and Italy, and we'll go back home again and we'll bank it all and rinse and repeat. I mean, and that's what I was saying earlier on, and the figures can get lost, Boycie, but theoretically, if we win the league this season, I think it's 60 million. I could be wrong, but 60 million is a quoted figure for the 8 Champions League games, right?
So if we get in the Champions League.
If we get in. But just something, I think the fans deserve to be in the Champions League, although I would suggest that maybe Europa League would be better for us, but our board don't deserve the Champions League next season. Our board deserve a Europa League run. The fans don't.
So here's the circle we're in, pal. Here's the circle. That this is how it gets really messy. Because see if we're going to sit here and say, the board have got you where they want you, right? Yeah. It does flip a wee bit on them, though. And it backfires when you get to a stage like this season where performing so badly in Europe and not contributing year upon year to that coefficient like Celtic should be, actually could be our undoing and lead us to qualifiers again next year if we're to be suddenly surpassed in that coefficient table by the Turkish League. That would be, then it's like, well, now the formula is completely fucked because you're not even banking the Champions League money now because you can't even get us there, because when you've went in so undertooled, picked up nothing in the coefficient, and that's now having that detrimental effect. Before you know it, you're relying on Rangers again. And I think
my theory on that, Boycie.
Yeah,
I think the board don't want to get a Champions League next season because that puts pressure on them to spend money.
Wow.
Can you imagine me and you sitting in summertime with £150 million in the bank? That puts pressure on them. Look, at £70 million in the bank, and we get a statement issued to the stock exchange saying we as a club need to put money by for rainy days, i.e. we don't qualify for Champions League. Can you imagine we get £70 million, which we've got, plus another 60, plus sell one player? You're talking circa £150 million in the bank before you sell one ticket. Before you sell one ticket, one T-shirt, one, cheap aftershave they sell in the shop. Can you imagine the pressure they would feel? And it's beyond. It's like Ebenezer Scrooge at Christmas, Boycie. The worst thing they can imagine is spending proper money, because I'm sure the board are scared to set a precedent of spending 10 million. We can afford, by the way, we can afford four £10 million players. We as a club can afford four £10 million players, and it wouldn't even dent the bank. Would not dent the bank. We get £70 million. A £10 million player is probably only about 45 grand a week. What's that? A couple of years, another 8-9 million. You try to tell me your budget we couldn't fund a player like that? Come on, of course.
No. I'll never tell you that, mate, because I am very much.
I know you're on my side with that one, but the board. So can you imagine us sitting this, and we're sitting on the last week of the transfer window, and we've got £150 million in the bank. There'll be folk jumping out the windows, standing outside that stadium if we've not bought a player. They don't. I think there's a part of the board that are scared to have a huge chunk of money in the bank, because that means you've got to spend it, right? And you can only hide it for so long because the figures come out and they're scared to start spending in case it sets a precedent. You know what I mean? And another thing people are talking about, like, yes, they're scared to spend money. Read the highest paying CEO in British football 2 years ago. He was the highest paid CEO in British football. He had a £3 million bonus on top of his salary. So that season he won more than the Man City CEO.
On that leads me to the next question. Gary Brown's kind of saying it in layman's terms, which was kind of pretty much what I was going to ask, to be honest. What is the end game then? What is the point in this money stockpiling, accumulating at the rate it is, out with the bonus factor, which I think, again, David Kelly was in the chat saying, they get bonuses based on what's sitting there, etc. But what can the end game really be when these are public accounts? Is it the Emperor's New Clothes we're looking at? Mm-hmm. Where you're saying a huge chunk of money, like 100 or 150 million. I'm like, £77 million is by far the most amount of money we've ever sat on with cash reserves. And yet this, incomparable as a Celtic team on the park, nowhere near.
Yeah.
I mean, nowhere fucking near the best Celtic team we've got. That deserves scrutiny. Now, is it now a case of 77 million, nothing to see here, Emperor's New Clothes? Oh, look, hey, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. Oh, we can't do anything with it, though. What do you mean? We do loads with it. Like, we need that. What if the rainy day comes? This is the only board in the world, and you know where I was going with that. The rainy day has been. COVID was the biggest threat ever to whatever nest egg we had of cash. We came out of it with a £10 million insurance payment, which was, again, in these public accounts.
We got two payments under the radar. We got a second payment as well.
Wow, there you go. Good knowledge, Judge. Good knowledge, mate. And this is where I don't understand. What is it you think the benefits are? Or is it just purely them getting their wee skimmy bonus that's actually motivating them to allow a monumental sum of money to sit in cash reserves at Celtic Park? Because I cannot see, on a sporting context, the benefit of all this sitting there. JK27 comes in. He says, we have a brilliant base. A base? 77 million, JK. That's not a base for a Scottish football club. That's so far removed from a base. But again, people hear this, they lick their whips. I mean, this is the players weren't far off. This is unfair bollocks. Rangers are dead. Do you know what? If Rangers died, and that's going to be used as the argument, JK, I struggle to get on board with that, pal. No one is suggesting all 77 million get spent in one fell swoop. No one is suggesting that. What we're saying, we have to use the tools at our disposal, though, to maximum effect to put out the best product on the park. And do you know what would happen if we did that? See the 10 million guy that's putting Celtic out in the clear that you were talking about domestically, Mark, which you want to see. Guess what? He's going to bring that better percentage chance of some decent results in Europe. Decent, I would say. And do you know what? Your apathy then starts creeping into the pain again when we lose to Atletico Madrid 2-0 instead of 6. You start going, fuck, now I'm raging.
We'll go close there.
See, when we get beat 6-0 and we get told the players aren't far off. Fucking hell, JK. Like, this is what the board want you to be saying.
They are far off. In reality, they are. I mean, if they're that far off that the players that we talk about who school Scottish football, the reality is there is a wee bit of truth that they're flat track bullies. No, we spoke about the directors there. I think their end game is they're businessmen and they've got egos. So if they're managing to have their cake and eat it as well, for instance, they're winning trophies, good balance sheet, and get bonuses out of it. That's probably what they're looking for. Because most of them are retired country club people, you know what I mean? Like a bowling club, I should say. So they're probably not getting much else on other than Celtic. And they probably take as much pride out of a balance sheet than me and you see out a last minute winner. They don't see it the same way as us. They see Celtic as a job. So they've got business throughout their life. The bonuses will be vast. It will be like life-changing money to me and you, Boycie, every season these guys will get, you know what I mean? But so I think that's a factor. But I think within that, if you folk that's got a lot of money, sometimes it's not just about the figures. Sometimes it's about the satisfaction of beating the game. You know what I mean? Getting the extra figures, squeezing every penny out of the can out of the customers, and breaking last year's margins and all the rest of it. And there's no doubt in my mind so, for instance, I spoke about this before. Celtic's second biggest shareholder is an umbrella company. I think their name's Linsell Train.
Yeah, you did tell me this.
They hold about 18%, which is a fucking huge part of anything, right? And so they go to answer. So Celtic need to answer to these people who don't even know who Celtic are. They don't care if they play football, cricket, or fucking anything. So all they want is a return on an investment, Boycie. You know what I mean? So these guys are on the board on behest of these people to create as much profit as they can for their shareholders. And at the end of the day, that is their job. But they're not looking at the other side of it. They're saying to themselves, we're making tangible success in Scotland. We're winning trebles, doubles. And then when folk like me and you ask for mayor, you'll have folk like we had there, Judgement, saying, oh, we've won a double and treble the last 3 years. And you go, aye, we know that, right? But we're beating absolute guff. We've got the ability to destroy Rangers, take them out of the equation altogether, get further in Europe, even look like a European team at times. We can do that within our budget and still be comfortable. I'm not expecting a £30 million. I still say that we could have afforded to pay 25 million to get Jota back. We could have afforded that as a one-off payment. We wouldn't have lost a curdie. He's waiting for 25. He's going back to 25. I'm not saying that's good business, but we could have definitely afforded that. But it's a precedent. When you start going from £2 million players to £8 million players, you've got a Celtic tax when you want a player. That's what happens, Boycie. When you start paying that amount of money, you become a club that pays £8 million. You know what I mean? There's your Mullins is saying.
I'm laughing because he's so right. I've never even joined those dots. Pam Boyce's loving the Jordan because it was Simon Jordan versus Eddie Hearn. Pam was comparing us to Mark. And then your boss said,
Eddie Eagle.
He's put notwithstanding that. Fuck. I've stole that for him. I'm actually going round. I've never even because Terry pulled me up before Simon Jordan.
Oh. Or the expert.
Oh my God, is that where I've got that from? Because Terry pulled me up the other, a few Sundays ago, Steamboats. He went, "You always say that, notwithstanding that."
He used to laugh at you. He watches the bus, and if he has watched tonight, I'm going to say one thing for him. See, next time you want to talk about business and give chairman's advice in English football, remember you took a club to administration, Doughball. That's what I would say to him if I met him. He took a club to administration. So don't be telling the guys who run Arsenal how to run Arsenal. That's
Yeah, that's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair.
That's
We'll let
like
David Lowe do the Jim White though.
Jim White. Oh, fuck.
That's David Logan. David Logan's totally Jim White, mate. He's totally
I think I'm Hugh Keevins. Honestly. I'm so Marmite.
Oh, Jonathan will be fucking turning his sleep right now if he's listening to the podcast. He'll be like, "What? Well, Russell." Oh. I was speaking to my best. Well, I was at my best pal's flat yesterday after work, and his missus was there. She goes, "I put on your channel on Monday." She was like, "I had no idea what you were talking about, but I laughed a lot at Jonathan's opening." She goes, "What the fuck is all that? Where does that voice come from? Do you get all your guests to do that?" I'm like, "Just didn't watch the show anymore, Amy. It's fine." It's like, because if that's your first impression, that would be crazy. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, it's a good debate to have, Mark, because I think we do still need to shine the torch. And my mission would be, if there were one, would be the opposite of what it seems like the board are trying to strive to do. Mm-hmm. I would be looking for a board to be going, how do we maximise season ticket sales? How do we maximise merch sales? How do we get the optimum buy-in from all Celtic fans into all things Celtic? I think that's by becoming the very best version of Celtic that can be in Europe. I'm not saying that means winning trophies. For anyone takes it from one extreme to another, like we do with if you spend money, you'll be deed. Like, I can't abort with all this jumping about. There's a huge amount of wiggle room between what Celtic currently do and what they could do to get Marc Cairney's going back to pain when Celtic get beat in Europe. That'd be my mission. I want Mark to fucking message me on the morning after Athletic comes out going, "I feel sick. I cannot believe what I watched last night." Instead, you wake up and you go, "Did it finish 6?" That is a loss.
I found you the next morning at the 6. I know. Tumble came on the tail and I went like that. Zap. Right in my bed and I woke up. But that's the thing. Like,
did you see a bird's nest?
Yeah, my bird's nest. Fuck. That's the thing as well. You do need to put pressure on them, because not only but they'll get benefits though. Because see, if you're sitting and you're seeing a team get further in Europe and you feel like you want to invest more in the club, you want to buy that extra strip, or you want to reward the club in a stupid way. You know, I mean, remember my kid on. I was buying the Celtic stuff for 4 days. Remember? Then we beat Rangers. I was going about like I was buying like blow up bananas, like supermarket sweep, and put them in my basket, running about haywire, buying every shite that you could imagine. And I thought to myself, that's what happens when you get happy. So I could imagine us beating a Chelsea or something. I'd be buying 2 blow up bananas. You know what I mean? It's just imagine it. But this is the thing: they get rewarded after the Champions League money, or because it's £3 million a win. So there's a benefit.
Empty a bird's nest, mate. Then they take a big inflatable
bird's nest. I've watched too much of that. The Eagle's Nest. I've watched all that World War II in colour. I can't get enough of that. Turn into Hitler's son.
What you mean? There's another side to Mark to come.
There's a worse side to me, mate.
I love it, mate. I love it. I mean, I think it's just one of these things. I just don't like the apathy side of it. I hear your points on it, and I think you explain them very fairly and very well. I don't like it because I think that is what they inevitably want. The questions, as I say, I don't know what the benefit is to this cash just getting stockpiled year after year, other than what is paltry bonuses in comparison with still the amount that's there. See, if they want to get big bonuses, or they want to get the bonuses that they're getting, it's not making a dent in that 70 million either. So even once you chop off or cut off the bonus money that these directors are said to be getting.
I think they get that for the other side. I don't think they get the bonuses for the clubs. I think the bonuses come for the investors' side.
Right.
So I don't think the bonuses come out of the club's funds, because And that's actually the opposite way. So the board of directors and the rest of it, they can't operate thinking about their own pockets. Technically, they're supposed to be for the company's benefit. It's the investors who think they've got a salary for the company, but the company don't pay them bonuses. I think the bonuses come from the investors' side. For instance, they've made 50,000, whatever, and it's like 3% goes to this, but whatever. I don't think it works out like that. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not an expert in business, but I don't think the club pay the bonuses. Boycie, there'll be bonuses for CEO. There'll be bonuses that the club pay, but I don't think bonuses like that come for the club.
Okay, let's look at this. NM comes in, and it is a story that's been doing the rounds the last day or so. There's another player of Asian descent. Nothing wrong with that, albeit their main tournament every couple of years will clash with our footballing calendar. And I think people need to take that on board. Undeniably, when you come from a different continent, whether it be Asia, South America, wherever it may be, I think more often than not, there's an adapting period that comes with that. And therefore, patience is required with players. Patience is a currency that Celtic fans kid on that they've got, which they absolutely don't, myself included. If a player's not hit the ground running, you don't wait to see what they can do the next season. It's bullshit. It's never been the case. It's the same with managers. When Andrew's first in situ, my argument on the Wee Fellas pod was, I said, I get what you're all saying. You can see something happening. I went, but rest assured, if we carry on going with 3 wins from 7 as a ratio for this season, but you can see what he's doing, he'll still be sacked.
Yeah.
Because you'll change your mind. The results will dictate. You don't have the patience to have a transitional year with a manager. We don't have the patience to give new signings 5 months grace. Look at Iwata and stuff. You were looking for upgrades in Iwata this summer. Yet we were told the previous January's Mark, Maeda was a real bonus in Atati because when they came in, they were really planning on for the second season. But because it was needs must, they got shoehorned in. No, they got shoehorned in because they were better than what was around them. Mm-hmm. They were going to make it, or they were going to make an impact in the first team. I'll not get you started on Maeda. Not tonight, pal. We'll keep the blood temperature at a decent level. but what we're looking for when a player joins and they're going to be first team ready, or they're described as first team ready, is them to make an impact in the first team. Now, if we're looking at another player, potentially of Asian descent, but now playing in Germany at Nuremberg, I think, is it Okanuku or something like that? Second tier Germany, very poor goal return, and yet here's the best bit. See, when you see this rumour, you fucking believe that one. See if we'd been linked with Jack Butland in the summer, for a brilliant example, we wouldn't have believed it.
And do you know something? I wish we'd got him because he looks like a really good signing for them, to be fair.
Oh, that's a big miss.
See, when you see that, you mentioned there that you believed it. That's my first thought. I went probably cheap, second division, Asian market, although he's playing in Germany. I went, that is definitely Celtic. Dan switched his phone off at Celtic. So now the next protocol now is this type of player. I've not got a problem where they come from so far. I'm not trying to say that, but I think we drained the well with some of the best quality that's coming for the Japanese league. And then I know this guy's playing in the second division in Germany, but you go to suspect that he's 24-year-old, he's playing the second division. I don't think he's a hidden gem, Boycie. I've not seen anybody mention him or anybody gives a scouting report so far that's saying this guy. I mean, we've seen Hearts were looking at him in summertime. Hearts wanted to buy this guy in summertime and thought to himself, we've got Shankland, that's enough. Right. And I think to myself, and I've not got any sources, but I think the reason why when Hearts scored against Rangers at Ibrox, Shankland didn't celebrate because he's been sounded out for Ibrox in January. I think he's a cert to go to Rangers. He's a Rangers fan. He'll be cheap, $2 million, £3 million tops. That's a 20-goal a season striker at Rangers. We could have had him on the bench second choice, and we chose not even budging that department at all. This one, I believe. This guy will be cheap. Nuremberg player. Get him on track.
That is very good partying. I love that sort of thing. That's brilliant, Pat.
That's a good one, actually. That's one for the thinkers out there.
He's turned Nuremberg into Nuremberg. Oh, get him on trail. Interestingly, I was in a stag do in Dusseldorf, Mark.
Oh, cool.
and we went to see. Oh, who the fuck did we go to see? It wasn't Dusseldorf. We went to see. It was a team beginning with D, and now, of course, their name escapes me. German side's beginning with D. Come on, Boycie. It was a free train because we had a ticket for the game. I was in Dusseldorf. Oh, fuck me, man. German teams beginning with D. I'll quickly Google it. Anyway, they were playing against. No. Okay, this is so funny. It wasn't Dortmund.
What a mess that place was.
It was, no, I was in Dusseldorf. Ian McIntosh said Dresden as well. No, I wasn't Dortmund. I would know if I was in Dortmund. Oh, does it begin with D? Maybe it doesn't begin with D. But anyway, well, I was at this game anyway, right? And we were in the home end standing, and it was brilliant, mate. But it was Nuremberg we were playing. I wore my Scotland shirt. It was long sleeves. It was Adidas. That's why I bought it, right? Because it was cool. And I thought, you make pals everywhere if you're tartan armour and all that shit. And jumped on the train home after the game. Got beat 6-0. Right? Got beat 6. I thought, fucking hell. I don't think it begins with a D, lads. I don't. Everyone's putting in names, and I'm like, nah, it's not them. Fuck knows. Nuremberg won 6-0, Mark. And on the train back, obviously it was pints all day at the game as well, by the way, right? Naturally. So a few drinks before, so you can drink in the stands. You just stand all the time going, just chanting like a mad tribal. You just like, oh. I'm like, I don't even know these plant pots know what they're singing about. And then after, I got a Nuremberg scarf and I gave a guy my Scotland top. So,
that's class.
So, stuff like that. The Germans are class with us, eh? They're like Scottish. They loved it.
And they did right. I mean, I think I know it's a lot. It's a bit of a myth. I think when you buy a ticket for a German game, it does include like
free train
travel. Celtic did that. Fergus McCann did that. Back in the 90s, when you had a season ticket for the last couple of years in the 90s, your season ticket got you onto the trains for Celtic matches. It was in the back of your book, and Fergus McCann did that. And I think a lot of these people. They kind of shudder at the cost to travel to a match as well. You know what I mean? Like, a big part of Scottish Celtic match isn't the ticket. It's the prices in the kiosks, Boycie. You get into that kiosk and I got a cup of tea the other day there, and it was the shittiest tea you can think about. You know what I mean? PJ tips, fuck's sake. I'm not. It's a tip of somebody's toast being dipped in, and it was fucking stinking. It was about £3. I thought, robbing bastards. But it just feels like there's nothing coming back to you. You know what I mean? Not at all. And I think Germany, when you buy a ticket, you get at least your bus or train travels included. That's a way of getting folk into stadiums in Scotland. You know what I mean?
Good point. And you know what? It's the whole fucking thing, man. It's just like the whole setup is.
It's a mess.
Aye. I mean, I was talking about the German one. I mean, the whole thing there, that was the second tier it was as well. Bundesliga 2 I was at. And you thought, fuck, this is how you do it. This is how you do football. Do you know what I mean? It's just the ticket for the game, mate. I think was €10, 12 euros.
Well, it would be cheap.
That was only €3.
I think you can go for €200 for Dortmund, couldn't you?
Can you?
You see that level. You can go on for Barcelona for about €100. That level of football.
For fuck's sake.
You know what I mean? You can't even get a broth for that. But. I'm not trying to make that. Just sounds like 3 o'clock in the morning in somebody's kitchen. We're trying to fix.
I know, mate. So I know. Well, but I think it's a big part of it, don't you?
Yeah, I do think so as well.
I'm frantically mentioning that stag do chat, by the way, to get the fucking name of that.
Probably
team.
still there.
Like I'm being
if they're your pals, they're probably still there.
But yeah, our ambition has to go a wee bit further, I think, than Nuremberg players, don't you?
I kick a can or whatever his name is. I seen it this morning and I went, oh my god, that is what we're talking about here. This is grade A Celtic board players. I think Ange got the players he wanted because they were cheap. I think Connor mentioned that it fell into Celtics. I mean, I think Celtic need to tick boxes. Is it cheap? Is it gettable? What's the agent's fees? See if they all get ticked, you get a chance of buying them. And
do you know what I loved about that, Mark? Very quick, right? Do you know what I loved about that? It looked like they were moving on, they were modernising.
It did.
Look, hey, we're giving the manager autonomy, man.
It did.
I'm like, you clever little fuckers. It's because Kyogo will be, the sort of pin-up boy signing that summer at £4.4 million. The same he spent
aye.
for Scott Brown in 2007.
Alan Stubbs, the 90s. I mean, we're talking about, I
Yeah,
spent £4 million
that's
in
true.
Phil O'Donnell in 1993 or whatever it is, or 1994, and £4 million now, folks going, oh, that's £4 million we've spent. We spent that 30 odd year ago under a director who we say had a biscuit tin. You know what I mean? And we're still poo-pooing it. I think some of the fans, including myself with the Champions League stuff, hold us back. Because see that thread when I mentioned the figures, that thread where folks saying what a board we've got. How can you slag the board when do you know something you're going to find?
What a job this man is doing. Photo
See
of
that
Michael
Nicholson? I've not heard that guy speak once. Mark Lawwell, I saw a photograph of him at a game a few months back. Never spoke once. Does he wear a Celtic tracksuit at match stage? You never see the guy. He's never involved in any Celtic by a player. He's never spoke about them. I want to know exactly what these Muppets are bringing to the club, because Michael Nicholson is getting round up the back for Peter Lawwell. Mark Lawwell is getting round up the back for Peter Lawwell. And you find it all comes back to Peter Lawwell, Boycie. 2003, we go to European Cup final. 2003, after that, we hired Peter Lawwell. It all went downhill from there. We signed Henri Camara to replace Larson, blah, 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 blah. We couldn't spend 500 grand, mate, to get Craig Bellamy, who would have probably broke every record in Scottish football if you give him the chance. And it just goes there. And I spoke about it before. In the early 90s, Peter Lawwell was Celtic's financial director when Celtic nearly went fucking bust. So folk can't pull the wool of my eyes or your eyes by telling us all that he's a fine. And do you know something?
It's a fucking great point, mate.
And we signed a deal in 2005 with Nike for £25 million. We signed a deal with Adidas in 2020 for £30 million. You tell me that's good business when the season tickets probably doubled in price since then, and shirt sales went from 30 quid to 80 quid or whatever. Don't tell me that a shirt doubling in price and more in 2005 gives you a £5 million markup or £5 million increase in your. That was a bad deal. 2005 to get £25 million for Nike was a great deal, but fucking 15 years later to get £5 million more. You know what I mean?
We seem to be the strange entity that money doesn't inflate at Celtic. It remains the same.
Doesn't it?
So if you suggest if you remember that Hoydie boy that wanted to argue with me a lot.
Oh, how it sells the badges that fall apart when you put them on your scarf?
He sells badges, and he said he was out of my league at debating football, even though he's never debated football on a podcast. He said, I wouldn't go on your podcast. I'd be going for a higher level. And I says, well, judging by your tweets today, I think that would be a wee bit silly. I'm offering you to come on and debate these points, because his argument was, if we were to go back to a Martin O'Neill wage bill, we'd end up 17 million in debt again. He's totally forgetting the fact ticket prices are about 30% up since then. Sponsorships are massively up since then. Kit manufacturing deals could be better, but are still up since then. European football money, astronomically up since then.
It's went from £10 million to 40, nearly.
And yeah, I bet. Now, he blocked me, obviously, because he didn't like being wrong in his wee silly debate.
Blocked me and all.
Funny that. But I bet you any money this season, I'm just going to guess, I don't know for a fact, I'm going to guess Hoydie, the badge seller, has 100% called out the board at some point in a tweet.
I'd probably say the last
investment.
I think, see the folk that was telling us to shut up.
Because we were ahead of the fucking game, mate. We're not in a cocky, but we were just calling it as it blatantly was.
It was the Green Brigade get banned. See the Green Brigade get banned. Right. All of a sudden, folk realised the board was shit. Funny that because no buying the players. See if this is what pushes the board there the edge, then I'm all for it, right? But I feel like nobody was concentrating on the actual keep your eye on the board, as you said. Nobody was watching the board when we were bringing in absolute dumplings. Like Bernabei. But when Celtic are calling out fans and all that, don't break into stadiums, or how dare you? That's above the pale, that. But when we want better players, we're told to calm down and shut up and stop being bedwetters. But to be honest with you, if the end game is getting some of the board out, then great. I can't see it myself, to be quite honest. I think the board's here to stay, but until St. Peter calls their name, Boycie, there's another Coldplay drop for you. I don't really know where you go with some folk, because they're not going to, unless it's socially popular, folk won't have an opinion. I think there's a word for it. It's called social something. Well, people say the opinion they think's popular just to be popular. And I think
Yeah. There's loads of that, mate.
Aye.
I want to round off on this one for CFRM 1888. Hope you're good, mate. And he is drinking a big bottle of tears. Good on you, mate. And he's your avatar. He said, "I know you'll not be able to see that, Mark. Don't worry. I'll just describe.
I'll get after me
for you, mate." Everything in life has went up since 2003, apart from Celtic spending. If anything, we're spending less. Well, CFRM is very funny because Mark's the perfect person to put this to, because Mark's not only a season ticket holder, Marc is the owner of every shirt every year, the tracky tops, the training shorts, the what. Now, since 2003, Marc, because your spending went up, because let's just say you've consistently bought your 3 kits and a couple of training trackies. Let's just leave it at that. 5 garments, 5 items of clothing you've bought, right? Let's just say in 2003, you'd have probably got for about 120 quid.
I think a top was 40, socks are 18, and the shorts is about 25 quid. Then
so you're buying full strip. So you're full strip wanker.
Aye, the new tap's 40. The new tap's 80. Shorts are 40, and socks are like 26 or something.
So see, you're all in 180 maybe pounds spent right on your 3 things, maybe 200 before. Now you're looking at what, 500.
You buy
more than double.
You buy 3 kits and 3 shorts as I do, and then 4 or 5 tracksuits. You're talking in the high hundreds. Before you could have got a tracksuit for about 50 quid.
So with that in mind, this is the point. How can they keep expecting to, on one hand, well, time moves on, football strips go up in price, boys.
Aye, life's it. Life's life.
Yeah, on the other hand, we can't spend like we used to.
No.
Imagine if they're supposed to that attitude with them.
Well, even a programme back then was about 1 quid, 2 quid for a big match. Now they're about 4 quid. You know what I mean? But everything's went up, but the quality when the parks went down. And I know Larson's don't come 10 a penny. Near the Alan Thompsons, John Harson's, Chris Sutton's. But it's the fact we've even tried to find another Henrik Larsson that pisses me off and pisses you off. We've not tried our best, you know what I mean? And as you say, we've got people buying strips. So it's went for £40. They were about £30 at the turn of the century. It's went for £30, £35, right up to more than double the price, and we're paying less money. You know what I mean? And we bought Magnus Hedman for something like, we've seen about £2.5 million at a time, right? See if he spent £2.5 million on a backup goalie just now, we'd be pulling out our hair in shock. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be going, oh my God, we can't.
That's the conditioning, isn't it?
That's the conditioning, and they want folk to they want folk like the folk on that thread to look at it. I don't think they read Twitter. I think they're probably of that age. They don't know what Twitter is really, but they're also of that mind where they'll tell a group full of guys on Christmas Eve you're sacked, and then get home with their cigars. They wouldn't care, boys. They're businessmen. They don't see the real world for what it is. They probably sat and made decisions in their career that sacked 100 guys on Christmas Eve. They probably have, and they're giving a fuck. When home to their families with their diamond chains for their wives and a purse for their girlfriends, and not giving a fuck. You know what I mean? Really. So upsetting me and you because we get beat off at Dundee, it's not going to matter a fuck to them. It's really no. They don't. They've no got like. I think there's a human side to these people, these Tories, these retired men that see Celtic as a bowling club. New innovation. We've spoken about Don Mackay briefly. I think he came in with ideas and genuinely he sort of brick wall of went, do you know what?
They shot it.
They went,
shot it, mate.
No one this social, no, you know what I mean? He's come in.
I'll tell you why very quickly. It's the combination of the 2 big juggernauts. The Postecoglou character who's demanding things. This is what annoys me about the Brendan Light thing. I know we're drifting into different spheres here of conversation, but I've loved it, mate. But Postecoglou, remember, first summer, yes, he came under a cloud as well, by the way. He was not heralded when he came in. Like, this guy was derided. But what he did was found his chops fast. And he went like that. Maybe I've not been forceful enough in the message I was getting across. Brendan had to have a similar quote in the summer there for me. But what I also think with the Don Mackay thing is, once you've got a Postecoglou doing that was a side thing. once you've got a Postecoglou doing that sort of message, you realise, oh fuck, we've got a live one here, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We don't need another innovator. One at a time, boys. Whoa. They'd have been like, honestly, mate, see, like their waterproof pants and that, even they'd have been soaked through in those old
Oh,
bastards. You know what I
definitely.
mean? Two guys who are looking in, like, are standing literally in front of me in 2021. They're like, what do you mean?
Do you remember the
Yes,
quote, Boycie? Do you remember the
Go on.
quote when they hired Michael Nicholson? The quote was, Michael is a great team player. That was a quote for the board when they hired Nicholson, because he went for a financial lawyer to the CEO, and he said, welcome Michael to the position. He's a great team player. And I thought they flung that word team player in there because that signifies to them they're all going the same direction. You know what I mean? And the previous guy that lasted 3 months wasn't going the same direction. He's definitely.
Yep.
I'd love to make Bob into him in a train or a plane or something and find out what really happened. Because he's obviously he signed a gagging clause. Of course, he has. He signed a clause that he can't speak about it. Probably part of his golden handshake and told to fuck off. You know what I mean? So you're never going to get the real story out there.
It's surreal, though, isn't it?
Aye. I get a job the next week or so back in the SRU, so it just shows you how highly sought the guy was. You know what I mean? He was no dumpling. I think rugby in Scotland, I think the people who watch rugby, they'll tell you that the commercial side and all that's great. The match day experience is brilliant. So this guy's been no dumpling. This guy's been good at what he's been doing. He's probably trying to bring in stuff that I remember Lawwell went to America maybe 12, 13, maybe even more than that years ago. And they come back, and one of the stories for the thing was Lawwell went to go and visit stadiums in America for the NFL to watch the fan match day experience, take advice after the people who arrange pie stalls, arrange merchandise inside the stadium, get the fan experience to improve Celtic Park. Not one thing as that guy did to improve fan experience. The facilities I've got to Jockstein Stand are the same ones that was there the day it was opened. And they'll bring out PlayStation pods in the family stand for kids. They'll be free to house 5,000 kids, and the facilities for disabled folk are terrible. Poor Regan, I go down and see him sometimes, and he's sitting in the pissing rain, and you go, how's this any better? On our purse, he was sent to America to suss out the American experience, and there was talk he's bringing in apps into the stadium where you could order your food and collect it at half time. Rangers have now started a thing where you can buy on your phone and then go and collect it. We were talking about that years ago, and we've still not moved an inch with the club, you know what I mean, in terms of we don't want to progress because progression costs money. I'm still shocked that they actually went to the expense of creating that standing section. That was so innovating. We'll be the first club in Britain to do that. And there must have been pressure within or whatever to do that. I really don't know. But that's probably the only thing we've done in the last maybe 10, 15 years that's been innovative, because we don't tend to create a modern environment for fans or fucking players. Let's be honest. We only go.
Dinosaurs aren't going to take you into the next civilization, mate. You know, the next era. Dinosaurs can't do that. They don't survive. It's proven. No. And that board, you've got to keep your eyes on them, but you've also got to
go through dinosaurs, so they can't reach their pockets. You know what I mean? And that's it. You're right. That's the wee bastards, and that's what they want. They want not to reach their pockets. I would love to. That's the thing. I'm sure that you can get a holiday the minutes for a meeting if you're a shareholder of a kind of high up in the company. I would love to see somebody sitting in a manager in a boardroom meeting. The manager saying, "We've got 6 players here on the list, choice 1 and choice 2." I'd love to see the reaction. Oh yes, they're wanting 6 million. Okay, go in with a £1.5 million bid, see what we get. And when you get told no, at least we've tried. Move on to option B, who plays for Nuremberg in the 2nd division. I would love to sit there and watch that taking place, because I think you'd fall off the seat. I think you'd fall off the seat with just move there with Celtic on the park. I think they see it as, I think it's a pantomime to them. They don't like the fans. We all know the board don't like the fans. But we're a nuisance. We want too much in return. We want a winning team. They've gave us one, but we want, that's their attitude. But we want more because we've got more.
See what I actually think? I think deep down in their heart of hearts, they would probably say, we are Celtic fans. We are definitely onside you. I'll give you a wee example about Peter Lawler, then I'll come to Ian McIntosh's comment there. It's Peter Lawler went to the New York, to the foundation gigs. Liam McGrandles told me this. I mean, he's like, I walked down the New York Strip with Lawwell and Lenny, mate, and he goes, Stephen, and he goes, honestly, like, he's like, I know, there's loads of things he does that I don't agree with, football and wise, sports, wise. He goes, that guy is, he was like, it's Celtic, that for a start. And he goes, and he was sound as fuck. Because but nobody wants to hear that. And I just take that on board. I go, sometimes you've got to break the barrier and see past the curtain, I suppose, to find out what someone's really like. We'll have a parody version, I suppose, in our head because of what we are seeing of the team that we love. And that never means you stop taking your eyes off that. And that doesn't mean you disagree with them because someone's maybe spent a wee bit of time and can verify he actually is a Celtic fan. He actually is sound. That doesn't mean he's not out of touch. That doesn't mean he doesn't get things wrong. Let's have it right. Ian McIntosh didn't like, though, Don Mackay. He thought he was a superficial politician vibe about him. Well, Don Mackay instantly was the first one to get in touch with the fan media. Now, I know that for a fact. He got in touch with the wee fella, for example, do you know what I mean, who was pretty giddy. Pretty giddy. His desk elevated a wee bit when he was telling me, do you know what I mean? I was like, calm down, mate. It's only Don Mackay. He went, he's mentioned you, Russell. And he'd actually name-checked me in the text, which is pretty funny. He says, he made some quip about biscuits, and he says, maybe I'll get to have a biscuit and discuss it over a biscuit or something from the tin with Russell. That, to me, isn't a hyped-up politician. I think that was someone that was wanting to engage. And,
he was.
And modernise it.
Didn't he?
I mean, if that was his first move to crack a joke with the fan media, I think that means he's coming from a space of comfortability. Like, he's not coming from that, you know, that sort of almost like robotic, hi, we're going to really work together. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. I think the first time I saw him speak, he was full of hand gestures, and that was very politician-like. I noticed that myself, but he brought in the fan media en masse, but at Stokes, he says, Lawwell come back. There used to be every presser pre-match, there'd be 4 or 5 pods there, and it's been stripped right back.
Do you know why, though? Do you know why, though, mate? Honestly.
It was day man nothing, to be honest with you. Hi, Ange. I'll go to say I love your cough. You know what I mean? And I was listening to it, and I stopped watching it, as you know.
Did you hear the one last week with Brendan? It was a boy for the wee fellas pod. Oh fuck.
Oh
I
no!
don't know who it was.
No. What did they say?
But it was the last question, and oh god, it was just.
What did they say? Would you get your teeth whitening kit for or something?
Oh, it was about how like amazing it must have felt to hear the fans singing your name again in that.
Oh.
Like after we've just been beat 6-0.
Well,
I'm like, just tell them you want access every week and you want to shag them. Just do it, mate. Like,
well, the ones I hate is we'll sign a guy for Canada and he'll say, so tell me, did you phone Arthur Johnston? They always say that, or if you get somebody, I'm like, oh, for fuck. I wonder if they do it in England. You sign a guy for Spurs and they ask him about somebody else's, you go, the same old questions, the same shite. I'm not talking about the fans here, I'm talking about the actual written press. You're like, oh my God. And I stopped watching the press. I like Brendan's stuff. I must admit, I've not turned off any of his stuff. I quite enjoy watching him. Kind of educates you a bit more on football. And he kind of mansplains all it, but it makes sense when you listen to it, pin your ears back.
Do you think there's a bit of a reason why the Postecoglou? I think Postecoglou's press conferences initially at box office, and then I think the Spurs ones I'm watching, I'm going, kind of seen this movie before. Not the same lines all the time, but the same sort of charm or the same defiance. I think that's maybe one of the reasons, again, why he will be a 2 to 3 year tenure manager. I think one of his big buy-ins is the players watch the pressers. They're so influenced by media now. Let's be real here. You've got a wee YouTube shot and it's a Postecoglou quip. I think young players have already bought into his tactics and they see that shit. I really do. But I have to agree with you, being a wee bit more old school. I like listening to Brendan because I go, I never thought of it like that. He's fucking, you feel educated a wee bit, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
I'm glad you've said that.
No, and he explains it, and he even explains his decisions before a match. He'll say, no, we know they're going to sit back. We know it's going to be 8 men behind the ball. So even Atletico Madrid, on the eve of the home match, he said, we're going to have a lot of the ball. when Celtic manager says that before, and he says, and by the way, he was right, because we all know Atletico Madrid, they tend to gear up possession, and even in the league they do that. So he said it out loud, and I thought it's quite strange to hear that for Celtic managers. But he does it all the time. You play in Aberdeen, he's like, do you know what? They've got a lot more height than us, and we're going to have to get into the spaces. We're going to have to drag in their wide men. And I've said to my dad about this before, because he says like he's telling other folk his tactics. And I always say to my dad, listen, even the manager at Abrof can watch a Real Madrid and tell you that manager's tactics. The hard thing is to stop it, because anybody that's done a pro license can look at a game of football and tell you the exact tactics that manager's using. But to combat that is a totally different fucking kettle of fish, you know what I mean? And with the players have got available. So I've not got a problem with him kind of mansplaining what he does to the I enjoy it. I feel like when I watch it and he says things, I go, I'm going to watch it for his players dragging defenders out wide. And in fact, you look at the Aberdeen game, a lot of their goals came from players getting dragged out of the place. And I was at the game and you can see it happening. I thought he fucking said that was going to happen before the match. Like Jock Stein used to tell players what was going to happen, and some players said that it was like they'd already played the match before they even fucking went onto the park. And you could see what he said was, "We're good," and what happened, what he said was going to happen, happened. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that's a good manager. That's why I love the guy, boys. I feel like we might lose matches because of bad form or whatever, but I don't think we get in many matches badly prepared. I really don't. I think that guy prepares the players. I seen an article the night, by the way, that I laughed at. The Football Insider, that was a Rangers rag, and they said in big bold writing that Clement's got the players who are still in behind at the Rangers training run. They've been given individual training plans, and this is going to be superlative in every way. I thought, see, they were doing that years ago. You know what I mean? Like Rodgers gave them all booklets with their names on it, with all their KPIs, everything, what they need to do to improve this, that, and the other. And I thought to myself, how in 2023 is that innovative? Just shows you the level of manager they've had in the last maybe decade or so, that's something new to them, and it was newsworthy. Because a big article was written tonight about how Rangers are going to take over Celtic. One of the quotes for the story was that they expect Celtic to the lead to be reduced by Christmas. You know what I mean? And that same still go to Celtic Park. They still go to Portadown, Tynecastle, Easter Road, Fir Park. Unless they've had a meeting with the referees and been confirmed another 25 penalties, I don't see that happening, Boycie. You know what I mean?
Oh, mate, absolutely not.
It could happen.
Mark Rooney, he's left there and said Clementine will be found out. I love that. I'm going to remember that. Mark Owen, remember him of Take That? Remember his first single was called? His first single was called Clementine. If you remember that in the 90s.
What is it?
Clementine. Yeah. I bet you're going to YouTube it, mate. You're going to YouTube
no, I'm
it.
not
Right
going to.
now,
I'll stick to my Dire Straits and my
Dire Straits.
Oh, brilliant!
I bet you just love that as a bad name. I bet you're like, that's
the guitar. It's the guitar I love, mate.
Dire Straits. That band sounds like my kind of jam.
And I seen Carl McGregor mention them today, and I went, that's bad. Friday night for me is the 80s. Dire Straits, Simple Minds, Deep and Blue.
Simple Minds, mate.
We're doing maybe a wee bit of, what would you call them? Oh God, James. But James, he's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I've seen them live so many times.
They're great, man.
Brilliant band. A brilliant band.
He's wearing these shoes or nothing. He's just cutting about quite like a hippie or something. He's brilliant. A couple of his songs are really good.
But we'll do it one Sunday. I promise you. We will do a Boycie and Mark's mixtape Sunday, and you can all listen along at the same time. We'll give you warning of what song we're putting on. Because we can't play it on the channel, but you can listen to it. We'll do it for a crack if you want one weekend, mate. I'd be up for that.
That'd be like Acid House without the house part, wouldn't it? Just acid. I think, see, the 80s music's really good. I'll just get back to music for a minute. Like, that's my playlist on a Friday night. Atlanta goes off or not. We ended up barning because she wants to listen to all the modern stuff. I'm like, no, I want to hear fucking Laura Bradburn. Fuck's sake, that's that lassie. What's her name again? Imagine after that fucking idiot.
You'll get me cancelled.
No, what was
I
that?
just,
What's the
I
last year?
prefer not to speak. If I speak, I get in trouble.
Well, I remember she. Oh no, I'm not going to say a word about her. Good lassie. No, oh, fuck. Laura Branigan. Laura Branigan. She was pretty good. I like her.
Right,
But,
that wasn't worth the wait. Right, let's get the fuck out of here. The music show's going to be shite. Right, anyway, keep your eyes on the ball.
Oh, what about what's that one you did? Scream a Celica or something? What was that one? We'll do Boycie's Beats or something, maybe something like that.
That was me and Lee Tamashanto that used to do that. Getting the.
I was meant for that. I used to watch it, and I didn't know what the fuck Scream a Celica meant, but I used to just watch it because it was COVID, and it was either that or
It was a good wee show.
Talkie folk.
It was a good
It
wee
was
show.
not bad. I mean, it was good.
I got so back after that though. Just carrying it too much, mate. Anyway, right, I need to go.
We get a million views soon, all on my back.
Totally, mate. Think I don't know that.
That's it. That's how it's so nice.
That better be the only reason you do. Right, we're away. Bye.